Where do we go? David Sanders. I know that was not expected, but I did see a 55-45 lean Tennessee's way before it became official. That gave some people some hope that maybe the Buckeyes would swoop in at the end, but that did not happen.
Yeah, I think this one was done about a month ago, solidified, and that's just the way things were looking at in the middle of July or so. Once Ohio State was done with the visits, and then Tennessee stayed in it, and it's interesting that this has created quite a bit of a stir, whether it's NIL stuff or it's Justin Fry stuff. It's not a good situation right now for Ohio State in terms of out-of-state recruiting of the offensive line. And I know Buckeye fans are unhappy that there aren't more in-state offers going out, especially with the scholarships going to 105 likely next year. There's kind of no reason to slow play some people at this point. But this is a guy that they desperately wanted. They didn't get. They went all out with NIL stuff. What I will say is Ohio State does not have much of a history of 5-star offensive linemen in over the last since the internet era. Ryan Day has signed 2 and has a commitment from another in Carter Lowe, and I think 3 would be as many as both Jim Tressel and Urban Meyer had in their time. But when you look at those 5-star guys, they're generally productive, but Paris Johnson, you got 1 year out of him as a starting left tackle. And he was the number 1 offensive tackle in the class. You got 2 years of starting out of him, but only 1 year at left tackle. Nicholas Petit-Frere, you got 2 years of starting out of him, and he was the number 1 5-star offensive tackle. So they're going to get more years out of like Josh Fryer as a starting tackle than they did out of Paris Johnson. Like, you just got to find the right guys and develop them and get the most out of them. And so David Sanders, you see him listed all over the place from like 270 pounds to, I think he's around 275 or something. Very similar to Nicholas Petit-Frere, in my opinion, where that first year you're going to have to, I know people are saying he's a day 1 starter. Not at 275 pounds, you're not. Not at 285 pounds, you're not. Like, not in the SEC. So you play him what you can. You're not going to redshirt him, but you're going to try to play him. So that first year is developmental. Then maybe you get 2 years of starting out of them after that. Like, that's kind of the max of what you're going to be getting out of some of these guys, where, if you can develop them, you can get them just as long, if not longer, but you need the bodies. And right now, Ohio State, if something happens to one of their tackles, they're in a bad way. And that has nothing to do with Sanders. That's a different topic altogether.
Yeah, they're in a tough spot here. Looks like most of the top offensive linemen have already kind of made decisions or are not considering Ohio State. So they only have 2 commitments in this class, Carter Lowe and Jake Cook, I think, is the other one from Westerville North, I believe. And I want to say he's a project. I think they beat, Louisville. Was he committed to Louisville? Was that the deal? And then switched to Ohio State, I believe. So, I've seen him at camp, and I think he's got potential to be a guy, in a year or two, probably in 2 years, that could help him. I think that this is the position above all others that they're going to have to go heavy into the portal this offseason. And I think they're going to have to go into the portal probably across the board when you really get right down to the nitty-gritty of this. I mean, if Devin Brown doesn't stay, I think you've got to go get a veteran quarterback just on the off chance that Sayin, Noland, St. Clair aren't ready, So, that's one right there. Running back, I think you probably, you're going to be all freshmen and sophomores, theoretically. So probably need to go get one there. Wide receiver, you lose at Buca, you might be okay there, but you're going to have to go heavy in the portal this year, and I think you're going to have to go get 2 starters on the offensive line at the least out of the portal this year. So if you want to, again, this is, who do you want to be? Do you want to maintain this minimum of 11 wins at Ohio State. I mean, they haven't dipped below 11 in a long time. And, unless they go heavy in the portal, they probably will next year.
Well, and the other thing with the portal, everybody's looking for offensive linemen in the portal. Even if you've got 5 starters, you'll take a 6th guy and move that your fifth guy down. Like, so it's everybody is looking for that, and so that makes it even more difficult. Yeah, we just need to go get a left tackle. Yeah, everybody else is going to be going to get a left tackle too. That's going to drive the price up to a point where you're like, well, now we're out of it because it's not worth it to do that for that position or this one guy when you do have a finite amount of NIL funds to spread around. So they will look in the portal, but it's just dangerous to rely on it because that's what everybody else is doing. And eventually the store shelves are pretty bare and you're left with, week old bread from Louisiana Monroe.
Oh dear.
Folks, we appreciate the contributions. Go ahead, Tony.
No, I was going to say, just to throw a school out there. No offense.
Who was that guy? What was his name?
Victor Cutler.
Yeah, you do so much better with the names and stuff than I do. I think in 1995 I would have ripped all these names off, but I am just a disaster right now in terms of the names. So
I hate to make negative confessions, but I'm right there with you, Steve. Just like David Fulcher, right there.
Fulcher.
And doing what I do, that's not a good place to be. Where I'm trying to think of names all over the country all the time, and people are like, "You don't know who that is?" Yes, I know who they are. I just can't come up with their name right now. College football is even more exciting with some action on the line, and the games are even better when you're cashing in. And the Voice of College Football is the place to be to get the greatest value. Let's start with my picks. 75% against the money line, 58% against the spread. I've got a 40-year track record. In fact, in 2023, at $100 played per game, you would have netted over $9,300. And guess what? I'm just the warm-up act. Steve Merrill, our ace in the hole, show stopper from Wager Talk. 6 years with the Voice of College Football, over 30 years in the industry. Steve gives us analysis on all the big games, but you can't miss Steve's weekly under-the-radar pick, which went 21-5 against the spread the last 2 seasons. I repeat, 21-5 against the spread. You also get picks from some of our top analysts here at the Voice of College Football, including Steve Dace and Matt Zemek. Become a YouTube channel member or Patreon member for just $99 per month. Go to the main channel on YouTube, click join, and select the betting tier. Do the same thing on Patreon. Make 2024 a winner now.